Okay. All right, so now we're going to go into kind of a quick and dirty version of what to do if you're just acquiring existing housing with HTF. So if you're acquiring existing housing, the provisions at F1 for new construction must be met if the project has been constructed or rehabbed within the last 12 months. And if acquiring any other housing, it must meet the provisions at F2, the rehab standards. We will be working on some suggested formats for acquisition over the next few weeks, and we'll be putting those onto the HUD exchange. But in the meantime, I'll just kind of walk through the quick version of it. So, one note, if you are combining HTF with other HUD funds, the property cannot be acquired until after the environmental review is completed by HUD or the RE. If you're only using Housing Trust Fund, you should figure out beforehand if the provisions can be met. You don't want to possibly be stuck with a property that can't be funded with HTF funds because it doesn't meet the environmental provisions. So this is a very simplified version of how to look at this. The important thing to know here is that acquisition is not a way to get around the environmental provisions. The environmental provisions are a screening tool for a project if it can be acquired. So if it can be acquired, you know, you definitely need to document that the environmental provisions have been met. So if the project's not eligible to be listed in the National Register or not eligible or not listed, you're good. If it is listed or eligible, any work that has been done on a project must meet the Secretary of Interior standards. The project is newly constructed within the last 12 months. The project should not have converted farmland to urban uses. The project cannot be located in a runway protection zone or accident potential zone. The project cannot be located in a coastal barrier resource system unit. The project cannot either be in a coastal zone or it must be consistent with the state coastal zone management plan. The project cannot be within a floodplain. If it is within a 100-year floodplain, it needs to have been elevated to base flood elevation or flood-proof to 1 foot above base flood elevation. And it can't be a critical action. And if it's in a coastal high hazard area, it needs to be a non-critical action designed for location in those areas and consistent with National Flood Insurance Program requirements. A project cannot be located in a wetland. If it was constructed within the last 12 months, it should have not impacted a wetland when it was constructed. If it was constructed within the last 12 months, it needs to be in compliance with acceptable separation distance standards as set forth in 24 CFR Part 51, Subpart C. The project must be free of hazardous materials, toxics, chemicals, gases, and radioactive substances. And look at the more specific information for multifamily versus single-family requirements. Existing housing, interior noise level must be 45 decibels. There is an exception for rehabilitation of manufactured housing that has not been newly constructed or rehabbed within the past 12 months. 45 decibels is encouraged for that. If constructed within the last 12 months, it should have not impacted a critical habitat or endangered or threatened species. If constructed within the last 12 months, it should not be near a wild and scenic river or consistent with a wild and scenic rivers management plan. The project cannot contain lead pipes. And if constructed within the last 12 months, it did not impact a full source aquifer. So I know that was kind of a very quick rundown of what you need to look at if you're acquiring property, and we will be putting together formats to put on the HUD exchange for that when you are acquiring. So when you do acquire, that you kind of should look at it as a screening tool if the project can be acquired or not. So we will be coming out with those in the next few weeks, so please stay tuned. And now I will open it up again for questions.
Hi, Lauren. There's a question for safe drinking water. How can rehab projects meet the needed documentation to show lead pipes? if there's lead-free pipe?
So if you're doing a rehab project, you can have a plumber or the contractor certify that the pipes used in the project are lead-free.
Okay, I have no more questions at this time.
Okay, well, if you guys have any questions, please reach out to our field staff or myself, Lauren McNamara. My email address is on this slide. This is new. It's different from, the standard Part 50 and Part 58. So we've had some questions come in, and, we know it will continue to have a lot of questions come in. So we're standing up the HUD Exchange page for frequently asked questions to get formats out there. So definitely reach out if you have questions, and thank you very much and have a good afternoon.
Oh, wait, one more thing, Lauren. I just wanted to add to that if we missed a question that you submitted and we didn't answer it,